Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Once again, good morning and welcome to another episode of the Routelink Cybersecurity Webinar Series. Today promises to be an exciting and interesting session, and I'm joined by some very important people in the cybersecurity space. So I have Vignesh with me, I have Faisal, and also Tino, and lastly, Roberto. So once again, good morning, everybody, and a big thank you to the CISOs, CIOs, IT leaders that have joined us this morning. We understand that your time is very valuable, and we plan to make this session as practical and also as engaging as we can. For over a decade, Routelink has become a trusted name in the cybersecurity space in Nigeria, and we have helped several organizations when it comes to optimizing their IT and cybersecurity strategy. And that is why today we are having this session to also help you with things around cloud security, optimizing your cloud security posture, and also we hope that at the end of this session, you get better when it comes to mitigating risk and also stopping attacks before they become, impactful in your environment. As cloud adoption accelerates and attackers become also more sophisticated, it is becoming increasingly difficult to identify attacks before they happen. And for a lot of people, the misconception is that breaches that relate to cloud happen because of misconfigurations, because some keys have been left open, and also because maybe somebody has not done their job well. But when it comes to cloud security, you need to take the balanced approach of the shared responsibility, both from the user's perspective, which is the organization, and also the cloud solution provider. With me today, I am joined by Tino, who is going to co-moderate and also introduce our technology partner for this event, QBS. Over to you, Tino.
Thank you so much for that, Afeez. That was a very warm intro to this session. I would like to thank everyone for coming through and giving us this platform to be able to have these discussions around cloud security. I am Tinotenda Madamombe, Business Development Executive with QBS Software Africa. QBS Software Africa is a distributor found in South Africa, and we have over 38 years of experience positioning cybersecurity solutions all across Africa. We were the first distributor within Africa to introduce Fortinet, and our scale has grown exponentially over the years. We've managed to partner with various vendors across global brands that are leading within the world. Today, I want to introduce our vendors. We have Sangfor. We also do have Orca Security and also Elastic. I hope this discussion will be very fruitful for you and the team, and we look forward to further conversations around cloud security. So that I don't take much of your time, I'm going to quickly introduce our first speaker, who is Faisal Pakar, who's coming from Orca Security. I will just give you a brief insight into who Faisal is so that you understand the conversation that he's going to be having with us. He is the Channels Solutions Engineer, EMEA, at Orca Security. He enables partners across Europe, the Middle East, and Africa to deliver innovative cloud security solutions. With extensive expertise in cybersecurity and cloud technologies, Faisal works closely with channel partners to help organizations strengthen their cloud security posture and address today's evolving cyber threats. Just before we go into the discussion with Orca around Orca Security, I would just want to let you guys know who Orca Security is as a company. This is one of the leading cloud security platforms that gives organizations deep visibility across their cloud environments, helping teams identify, prioritize, and address the risks that matter most. Today, we explore how Orca Security helps organizations secure the cloud without slowing down innovation. So to Faisal, I'm going to ask one question. We keep hearing that cloud breaches are usually caused by a single misconfiguration or an exposed key, but attackers seem to be getting into fully patched environments anyway. What are we missing here? Over to you, Faisal.
Thank you. So, Tina, I've just requested remote control. I should have access to that, I think. Yes, I do. Firstly, good morning and good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. As Tina mentioned, I'm Faisal Parker. I'm a channel solutions engineer here at Orca Security. And I'm delighted to be here to get together with QBS and Routelink Nigeria and some of my other colleagues from within the vendor space for today's session, which is looking at improving cloud security in 2026, looking at attack paths, identity risk, and how to stop them in real time. Tino, let's answer your question by demonstrating how Orca helps improve and manage risk in the cloud for our customers. So over the next 15 minutes or so, we'll cover 6 things that matter most to anyone securing cloud environments in 2026. The emerging attack path attackers are actually using identity-based threats and privilege abuse, which is now the #1 way to for cloud breaches, cloud workload protection, visibility across hybrid and multi-cloud estates, real-time detection and response, and practical best practices you can take back with these concepts. And rather than just talking about these concepts, about halfway through, I'm going to show you how all of this lives inside our real multi-cloud environment. So you can see exactly what Orca surfaces and how you'd act upon it. So let's set the stage. In just the last few weeks, Orca's own threat intelligence has tracked a zero-click remote code execution flaw in Zoom that needs no user interaction at all. A supply chain compromise of widely used NPM packages like Keyed V and Cacheable that harvested cloud credentials straight off developer laptops and CI pipelines. A pre-authentication WordPress exploit chain actively being used in the wild, and a critical flaw in Ubuntu Pro client that ships on cloud images by default. 4 unrelated headlines, but the same underlying story every time. Attackers don't need to breach a perimeter anymore. They need one exposed workload, one over-permissioned identity, or one compromised dependency. And cloud complexity means most organizations know where those weak links are and don't know where those weak links are until it's too late. Here's a concept that's central to everything we're covering today, the attack path. Most security tools generate long lists of individual findings. The slide should have changed. Tino, could you just pop to the next slide for me, please, if you don't mind? Most security tools, thank you. Most security tools generate long lists of individual findings, a vulnerability here, a misconfiguration there, an over-permissioned role somewhere else. Looked at individually, each one might score as medium or even low risk, but attackers don't think in lists. They think in chains. They look for the shortest route from something exposed to something valuable. A single internet-facing server with an old SSH version isn't the story. It's what the server can reach next, the identity it holds, the role it can assume, the data it can touch. When you connect those dots, a handful of medium findings becomes one critical exploitable path. That reframing from isolated findings to connected attack paths is exactly what I'll demonstrate live in a few minutes, using a real chain just like this one that I've mentioned. Identity has become the #1 attack surface in the cloud. Apologies, Tino. Just the next slide again, please. For some reason, the remote control is not working for me. Identity has become the #1 attack surface in the cloud. Think about how cloud IAM actually grows in a real organization. Roles get created for a project, permissions get added to unblock someone quickly, and they're really removed afterward. The result is what we call permission sprawl. Roles and users holding far more access than they actually use and need. Add to that overly permissive cross-account trust relationships, service accounts with standing admin rights and secrets, or access keys accidentally left in code repositories. And you have an environment where a single compromised credential can potentially be escalated into full administrative control of a cloud account. This is exactly the privilege abuse referenced in this session title, and it's usually invisible until someone maps it out for us. And unfortunately, this someone tends to be a threat actor. Just the next slide, please, Tina. Workload protection is still foundational. You need to know about vulnerabilities, malware, and misconfigurations across every VM, container, serverless function, and Kubernetes cluster you run, across every cloud. The shift we've seen is towards agentless coverage, so you get full visibility from day one without deploying and maintaining agents everywhere, combined with a lightweight runtime sensor for real-time detection of things like crypto miners or suspicious process behavior the moment they appear. Very few organizations run a single cloud anymore. Most run AWS, Azure, and GCP simultaneously, often alongside on-prem infrastructure and Kubernetes, frequently as a result of mergers, acquisitions, or simply different teams choosing different platforms. The security challenge is that most tools are cloud specific, which means your risk is fragmented across 3 or 4 or 5 different consoles. What organizations need is a single, normalized view of every asset everywhere, with the ability to scope that view by business units or teams or accounts for reporting and access control. In the demo, I'll show you what that looks like when you're looking at tens of thousands of assets across multiple different cloud providers in one screen. Finding risk is only half the job. The other half is speed. Cloud detection and response, or CDR, is about catching malicious behavior as it happens. Unusual API calls, lateral movement, malware execution, suspicious identity usage. What matters is that those real-time signals arrive already, enriched with context. Is this on an internet-facing asset? Does it hold sensitive data? What can an attacker reach next? So your team isn't triaging blind at 2 a.m. And from there, alerts should be able to flow straight into your existing workflows, whether that's Slack, Jira, ServiceNow, or a SOAR tool for your playbooks. So response happens within minutes and not days. So that's the landscape. Now let's stop talking about it and go into looking at a real environment. Everything I'm about to show you is an environment, a live environment from an active multi-cloud tenant, nothing staged, nothing mocked up. And I'm going to start with visibility, show you a real-time malware detection, then walk that exact detection all the way up to an attack path to full administrative takeover of a cloud account, and finish by looking at the identity misconfigurations that made it possible in the first place itself. So Tina, I'm going to request access.
That's fine.
For my desktop.
If there are any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box as we go.
Thank you. So what you guys should be seeing is the Orca platform. Tina, could you just confirm that for me, please?
I haven't gotten the request on my end.
Yes, it's visible.
You can. Okay, fantastic. Thank you for that. So before I show you anything specific, I want you to see the scale of what we're looking at. This is one tenant with one login with multiple different cloud providers just here at the top. Right now, this environment has approximately 13,200 assets in AWS, around 12,200 in GCP, and just over 8,500 in Azure. Call it about 34,000 between the 3 vendors that we're looking at in this one screen with this one risk model. This tenant also has approximately 257 business units defined. That's how larger organizations scope this same view by team or region or account for reporting and access control. So an analyst in one region isn't drowning in another region's noise or alerts. Now, here's a live one. We've got a critical severity alert for malware detected called application.linux.miner.pbd. And it's a crypto mining payload detected with high confidence on a host called Amazon Linux 2022, which is highlighted just here for us. And critically, in order for us to have figured out this malware, no agent was installed on this box for us to see this. This is exactly the agentless runtime detection I mentioned in the workload protection piece a moment ago. And hold that thought on this particular agent, on this particular asset itself, because it's about to become the starting point of a much bigger story. So this is what I meant by an attack path. And it starts with that same host that we looked at just a moment ago. Node 1, just here, shows our compromised internet-facing Amazon Linux 2022 host. It's not just running a crypto miner, it's also carrying an unpatched OS and also a service vulnerability, which has a vulnerable public SSH service. That's 3 problems on this one particular box. Now, node 2, which is just here, that host has an IAM role attached called DevOps_admin. On its own, in a list of 1,000 IAM findings, that might not jump out at you. Now, finally, node 3, and this is the part that matters because it ties it all in. DevOps admin is able to assume a secondary role. In this tenant, it's literally named Threat Investigator demo-s5-cross-account admin. Yes, it's tagged intentionally as insecure within this particular demo, but I promise you in real world environments, we find roles with this exact shape that were never meant to be permissive. Overly broad access, cross-account access trust policies are one of the most common findings we see. And finally, it ties us into node 4 just here. The second role carries the AWS managed administrator access policy, which gives us full control of the account. So look what just happened there. A crypto miner on a public box turned into a full administrative control of the entire cloud account in 3 hops. Orca scores this specific path at 9.9 out of 10, critical, because it connects something actively exploit to something catastrophic if it reached. A traditional scanner would have shown you 3 or 4 separate medium priority tickets. You'd see a CVE, an IAM finding, and a trust policy finding. None of them says drop everything. Connected this one path does. Here's another one. That's a cross-role account. That wasn't an isolated mistake. This environment has the same pattern in several places. Here's an SSL role, just at the top, just here. With full administrative access that has, just written over it, that has 0% permission usage. Nobody is using this access, but if it's compromised, an attacker has everything that they need to be able to leverage this access. And I've got another one for you. Here's an organization account access role, just at the top here, which by design already spans multiple AWS accounts. Orca flags it as critical because it only has about 0.018% usage just at the bottom, just here. Of its granted permissions have actually been used. That's a role that's almost entirely just in case access, sitting there just as pure risk for someone to exploit and a threat actor to compromise. And it's not just roles. Here's a hard-coded AWS key found in a repo that was committed directly into this particular code repository. Anyone with read access to that repo effectively has cloud credentials. This is what least privilege actually means in practice. Not a policy document, but going role by role and asking, is this being accessed? Is it being used? If not, take it away before someone else uses it for a malicious act. Now, two more quickly, and then we'll jump back into the slides. This Windows host here has public-facing, is public-facing. It has a perfect score of 10 out of 10 for risk on Orca's customized risk scoring and scale, and is tagged with crown jewels just here. Because of the sensitive data that's living on this particular asset itself, that's a maximum security severity combination, reachable from the internet and valuable if reached. And finally, and this isn't just to highlight that it's a workload problem, here's a Google Cloud Storage bucket that we can see. Publicly exposed, again, same as previously, and also flagged for a sensitive data score of 9.4. Same underlying EC2 host that we can see within a different cloud, within a different asset type. That's exactly why visibility has to span every cloud and every asset in one model. The risk doesn't stay inside one's platform boundary. Just going to stop sharing. Tino, it should come back to you for the rest of the slides. So let's tie back to where we started in that one walkthrough. You saw an emerging attack path chained across a vulnerability, malware, and then identity. An identity-based privilege abuse through a role chaining into an intentionally over-permissive cross-account role. We looked at workload protection, catching a live crypto miner without an agent, and we had visibility across tens of thousands of assets in multiple different clouds within this one single screen. And more importantly, with real-time detection tied directly back to the same compromise host. That's 6 objectives in one platform with one connected story. So what should you actually do with this? 6 practical habits. Prioritize based on attack path context instead of chasing every individual finding. Enforce least privilege and periodically right-size permissions instead of granting once and forgetting. Extend agentless coverage to every workload in your cloud environment so nothing is invisible. Unify visibility across every cloud account instead of switching between consoles. Connect real-time detections directly into your response workflow so action happens automatically. And regularly reassess what's internet facing and what holds your most sensitive data, because both can change constantly. So what you saw today comes all from this one platform, from this one unified data model, combining cloud posture, workload protection, identity management, data security, and detection and response, all agentlessly, typically fully deployed within minutes, not weeks. That unified graph is precisely what let us connect a malware alert to a misconfigured role to full admin access in one view, instead of 3 separate tools that never talk to each other. If what you've seen resonates with your own environment, the best next step is a personal proof of value, where we run the same kind of exercise and analysis within your cloud accounts. We only need a read-only access. We don't need to deploy agents, and we typically find results within 24 to 48 hours out of your QBS environment. Sorry, Tino, could you click a few slides down? Next one down. And then the next one down. I just want to take a moment to thank you for your time today, and I'll hand back to the moderators for the next speaker. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Faisal and Tino, for that. That was a very fantastic session. Like Tino mentioned at the start, if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A box, and then at the end of the webinar, and also the chat board, and at the end of the webinar, we go over the questions and try as much as possible to answer all the questions. Moving to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Vignesh Kumar. He is a senior cloud solutions expert with Sangfor. And Sangfor are a leader when it comes to cybersecurity, cloud computing, and IT infrastructure solutions. But for today, Vignesh is going to be speaking to us on what Sangfor is doing differently with AI. And that is how he's going to explain to us how organizations can leverage on AI to secure both their hybrid infrastructure and also their cloud instances. So Vignesh, I want to ask you, if, for example, a bank wants to secure both their cloud instance and also their hybrid environments, what can Sangfor do for them when it comes to leveraging on AI to secure those environments? Thank you.
So that's a great question, Hafiz. Thank you so much. And again, to repeat, so my name is Vignesh Kumar. I take care of the region as the product manager here in Sangfor. So let me run through a couple of slides to introduce what Sangfor is and what we do with respect to our cloud solutions and how do we secure them at different stages, right? So let me just click on the screen. Okay, so just to quickly introduce Sangfor. Sangfor is a 26-year-old organization started in the year 2000 by our founder, Mr. River, and co-founder, Mr. Wilson, together. And now, as we speak, we have more than 8,000 employees spread across the globe. And as a group, we cater to four main business units. So cybersecurity is one of it. So if you see on the top left-hand side, which is Sangfor Athena, it is our cybersecurity wing. And then we have a Sangfor Cloud, where we talk about private cloud platforms and how do we secure those private cloud platforms. That's more about what we are going to cover today. And then we do have our cutting edge enterprise networking solution from our portfolio of Sunbreak. And we do also have our own AI software where we call it as an on-premise AI model where you can build your own AI engine. So these are the kind of platforms what Sangfor has. And as I mentioned, in Sangfor, we have more than 8,000 employees spread across the globe. And AI, definitely AI is one of the main, keywords or catchwords that's happening in the globe, right? So we do have AI inbuilt on all our solutions, starting from even infrastructure, the cloud, the private cloud, the security, everywhere, right? So that's how we have built our solutions along with AI modeling, right, in all our solution portfolio. We do have our branches across the globe. We have 70 plus international branch and representative offices. And we do have support centers and data centers across the globe as well, right? So a couple of places where we also can provide local support. For example, we have our support center in UAE, in Saudi Arabia. We have our support center in Egypt. We have our support center in Malaysia, scattering to this part of the world. And what are the main, Sangfor's mission and vision, right? So when we talk about all our solutions, we have a huge product portfolio. So we carry a very simple mission where all our solutions should be pretty much simpler, easy to use. You don't need to go through months of training and experience to use these products. So primarily, it's very simple to use, and we do have a very strong cybersecurity wing. So we ensure that all the solutions that we cater to are pretty much secure from the layer of protection from the root to the applications which is running on top of it. So how do we do it? This is what I'm going to explain in the upcoming slides. Of course, this is our headquarters. It's a 32-floor headquarters. So where we also bring our customers and partner to explore our demo center, our experience center, and all of those things. So, why do customers should work with us? Definitely, we do have a well-established reputation of 26 years and equivalent offering compared to any popular products and flexible licensing models. What we have, and we do have a very good supportive partner system that we have built across the globe as well. Now we talk about the cloud, right? So we more focus about the private cloud infrastructure here. So HCI or the hyperconverged infrastructure is the foundation of the cloud. And how do we do it? Of course, we combine the compute, storage, networking, and security into a single platform, making it a one-stop software-defined infrastructure, right? So that's why we make our, or we call our HCI as the third generation of HCI by combining compute, storage, networking, as well as security in one single pane of glass and manage it from one single pane of glass. So the solution frameworks, if you see the HCI or the hyperconverged infrastructure, we have a couple of solution works together to make the entire HCI. So starting from our hypervisor, right? So you might have heard about the popular hypervisors like VMware ESXi, right? Or Microsoft Hyper-V or any other, hypervisors like that. So customers now are, constantly seeking or looking for an alternative for these hypervisor, and at the same time they are looking for equivalent features and offerings as well. So that's where we are from Sangfor. So if you're looking at an alternative hypervisor to any of the popular hypervisor, yes, Sangfor is pretty much there. We can build this hypervisor on any x86 platform. That means any server platform, be it Dell, HP, Fujitsu, Supermicro, whatsoever it is, right? We can install this hypervisor on top of that. You can connect to an external storage. You can connect to a backup solution if you want to take a backup to, and all of those things, and just have an alternative to your hypervisor. And we do cater to all the basic functionalities or the popular features like high availability, DRS, taking a template, cloning, snapshot, all those, building VMs, managing those VMs, all those features are pretty much available. So that's just a hypervisor model, right? So we have three models. The one will be the hypervisor, the second one will be the full stack HCI, and the third one will be the private cloud. So the first one is hypervisor. Then followed by we have storage virtualization called ASAN and network virtualization called ANET. So the ASV, ASAN, and ANET together we combine the hyper-converged infrastructure or the HCI platform. On top of that, we do have another component called as ASEC, which is again an optional add-on. So what we really do with ASEC is that we also give security for all the virtual machines and its applications running on top of that. So basically, it is kind of an EDR platform which will, secure your applications from any kind of threats or attacks like ransomware attacks, real-time virus attacks, and basic vulnerabilities. All those things checks can be pretty much done from our ASEC module itself. So overall, if you see the infrastructure, the private cloud plus the security together can be combined together as a single offerings. As well as from the hypervisor level, we do have an inbuilt web application firewall module to protect the hypervisor itself from any kinds of threat or attacks. That's a unique offering that we give without any additional license as compared to any of our popular competitions. Right. And then now it's the time or era of AI. So that means you need to have your infrastructure supporting to run these AI-based workloads, right? So Sangfor have this GPU or vGPU capability where you can run AI workloads on top of our HCS solution framework. Then we do have an inbuilt micro segmentation capability. That means you can actually put a rule between multiple VMs in the same cluster to allow or block certain ports or certain services that you are aware of, right? Let's say, for example, you are aware of a particular ransomware port, right? So that means it's the most prone port for ransomware attacks, which could be port 448 or port 3389, these kind of ports, right? So you can very well have this service enabled between a couple of virtual machines. That means even if one of the virtual machines or your applications get attacked, it will not be spread across multiple virtual machines in the cluster. So these kind of distributed firewalling capabilities, what we have inbuilt and very easily configurable with multiple clicks from the system itself. And sometimes you may not know whether one of my applications is talking to the other application or the database server or things like that. It's sometimes become very difficult to identify this network posture in your entire virtual environment. So we have given something called as an automated policy recommendation. So based on your application behavior, we will make a map telling that this particular application is only talking to this set of application server or database server. So you can enable the policy according to these network maps, right? So this will help you to create your entire distributed firewalling pretty much easy as well. Now, on top of that, we also provide maximum security inside out when it comes to the hypervisor, kernel level hypervisor security, like I mentioned, built-in web application firewall module. And then we have virtual machine encryption on top of that. All the virtual machines which is stored on this HCI platform can be encrypted. The keys can be stored within yourself, or you can integrate with KMS server to have this key stored as well. Then we can integrate with Sangfor endpoint protection solution to have comprehensive ransomware protection for all your applications on top of that. And then network security, we can have multiple layers of security when it comes to protecting application. Either it could be the distributed firewall, which I just explained in the previous slide, or you can also host a complete, a virtual firewall. That means it's like similar to your popular firewalls, like let's say Fortinet, for example, right? So similar to that, Sangfor have our own firewall where we can build that firewall as a virtual appliance inside this HCI environment and manage that from same pane of glass where you get all the features, IPS, IDS, web application firewall, all of those things as an instance and manage that. So that is also possible. And for a correlated security service, we can provide a complete NDR module, and Sangfor has multiple modules when it comes to securing or even protecting from different interfaces, like it could be network, it could be endpoints, and so on and so forth. So we also do have our XDR, which is the extended detection and response module, to have a comprehensive or full security or maximum security inside out. Next, can this infrastructure support any kind of applications? This is a very common question that's been asked by any customers, right? So definitely, whether it could be a database, whether you want to run multiple containers, whether you want to run maybe a SAP HANA kind of a environment, or you want to run and do some kind of big data analytics, or you want to create your own AI engine. Yes, Sangfor cloud infrastructure is very much ready to run any kind of applications on top of this. Now, how do we protect the data? That means now we are providing the private cloud infrastructure. That means you are building your virtual machines, you are installing your own applications, and what happens to the underlying infrastructure, right? If something goes wrong, let's say, for example, server is a physical device, right? So what if that server goes down? So what if the power supply of that server goes down, right? So we do have inbuilt multi-copy mechanism to protect your data. That means whenever the data is getting written, it gets written simultaneously to multiple physical servers, or multiple, we call it as nodes, multiple nodes in the cluster at the same time. So that even if one node fails, your data is very much highly available on the other node. So that's how we are able to provide you no more single point of failure, even if you're building your entire private cloud setup. Next would be a backup as well. So we have an inbuilt backup where you can take a backup of your virtual machines or the application servers to your own platforms of your external storage. It could be like the NFS, it could be like iSCSI based storage, it could be an object storage as well. So that object storage can be multiple types of object storage. We do support AWS Wasabi as well as any S3 compatible object storages. And Sangfor, we also have our own object storage, we call it as on-premise AI-based storage model, where if you would like to have a complete, you know, an NFS or NAS-based storage or even object-based storage, yes, we can provide a complete scale-out NAS or object storage from Sangfor as well. Also, we support any, S3 compatible object storages to dump your, backup to. Now, we also do have the integrated CDP. CDP means continuous data protection, right? So that means we can take a backup of your application like every second, and we can restore it, up to the last second where the data has been backed up to. So we're the world's first HCI integrated vendor to have an integrated CDP with solution. Now, we also do have intelligent scheduling technology and AI-based scheduling technology, which will help to load balance the application or the virtual machines between multiple nodes in the cluster. And along with the backup, we also can have a business continuity plan. Let's say, for example, disaster recovery setup. That means what happens to your data. So how do you protect the data if your entire site is down, right? So we can replicate your entire virtual machines and its application data from site one to site two, so that if one site is down, you can bring up your virtual machines immediately on the other side, right? So, and we support failover and failback. Once your primary site comes up, you can fail back to the primary site immediately. Next, to predict storage capacity as well, we do have an AI engine built in, which will predict the storage capacity based on your historical usage, and it will give you a prediction mechanism. And nowadays, the cost of the hardware or the memory sticks is been increasing rapidly, right? So because of that, sometimes it becomes very difficult to have higher memory-based applications. So Sangfor has launched our own memory tiering concept, so that 50% of memory can be from direct physical memory and 50% will go to the tiered memory with an NVMe disk. So this way, you actually reduce the cost of setting up your entire private cloud by at least 40 to 50%. This is what we have seen. So this is a, key feature that we have brought in, so that, you can set up your entire infrastructure with all your requirements without any, negotiations or without any reduction in your, memory configurations that you require for your application. Sorry. Okay, and if you are looking for integrations with external backup solutions, yes, we do support Veeam and Veritas, so you can use those third party. And we also have an integrated disk protection system. And the entire HCI have comprehensive, or we call it as platform security, where we can provide security at each and every layer, from the platform, the virtual machine, from the internet access gateway, or from the load balancers, a lot of things that we can put together to build a complete platform security. And you can also have a disk, data encryption. And a little bit comparative study, popularly with all other comparative solutions. This is what Sangfor's functionality stands, as well as the most common solution when it comes to the infrastructure is, of course, people compare with solutions like VMware or even Nutanix and solutions like this, right? So Sangfor stands very much feature rich when we have compared to all these vendors out there in the market. Okay, so. And then if if you're using a VMware kind of a platform, you're looking for an alternative, yes, Sangfor can provide 3 stages of alternative solution. It could be virtualization, it could be HCI, or it could be private cloud, whatever, environment you have. Sangfor definitely provides an alternative to have paths to migrate from those. We do have the management experience that is as well as consistent with VMware, so making the management or the GUI much more easier. And our licensing is pretty simple, like I mentioned, standard, advanced, and enterprise bundle. So standard means it's a hypervisor bundle. Advanced is a full stack HCI. Enterprise is a complete private cloud infrastructure. Right, so that's it from my side, and this is just a simple migration tool. So customers might wonder, how do you migrate? So Sangfor have our own migration tool where we use this tool to migrate from any of these platforms to Sangfor. Yeah, so that's it from my side. And thank you so much, everybody, for attending. If you have any queries, please do put it up on the chat window and I'll be able to answer it. Yeah. Thank you so much. Peace.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you for coming through. Just to confirm, is my screen still visible from your end?
Tina, we're just seeing a browser window. The slides are no longer on.
Okay, my apologies. Let me just fix that.
Right. While we wait for Tino, So, Roberto, can you explain to us briefly what Elastic is doing differently when it comes to how organizations are able to, secure their IT assets better in 2026? Yes, organizations already have firewalls, XDR, EDR, and the likes, but what can they do differently with Elastic, and what results can they achieve when it comes to improving their overall cybersecurity posture?
Thank you so much, Afiz. Happy to answer that question. I see the presentation's coming back up, so perfect timing. Thank you. Let me
Right.
request control, and we can go from there. Okay. Just waiting to get control of the slides, and I'll move them on. So, yeah, looking forward to answering that question for you. Basically, if we can get this working. Hello, everybody. My name is Roberto Enrico. I'm a senior solutions architect for Elastic. Let's see if we can go back. There we go. Senior solution architect for Elastic. And I'm going to talk about a modern search AI platform. And the mindset methodology of Elastic is, yes, we have a lot of capabilities, and we've heard from two phenomenal vendors today, and they have really exciting technologies in what they do. So Elastic is taking a slightly different approach in terms of we are a search AI company, and you can find most of this information on our website. I'd just like to draw attention to the fact we're one of the most downloaded enterprise software in the world, with over 6 billion downloads. That's because we believe in being free and open, and we do have a free and open tier for developers, for enthusiasts, for people just to get to know Elastic and sort of start on a little project. And the way we see it is we're in this world now with AI and with, as we've heard from Sangfor and from Orca, that there's a lot of visibility, there's a lot of data, there's a lot that you can do. There are consoles, there are logins, there's lots of ways of visualizing it. But the majority of this data has become unstructured. So many years ago, when I started in cybersecurity, say 20 years ago, it was quite simple. We have a log message. That is a predictable message. It's going to have certain fields populated, and depending on what that field is what it's going to do. As time has expanded and we've embraced the internet, then virtualization, and now AI, we have far more unstructured data, and it's not going away anytime soon. And what I mean by unstructured data, things like documents, meeting transcripts, even videos, audio, things like that. Something that doesn't necessarily follow a predictable pattern, but yet still needs to be ingested and still needs to make sense. The challenge is most of these organizations have 90% of unstructured data within them. And this data is siloed. We have phenomenal tools. We're using productivity tools, BI tools, security tools, observability tools. And usually these are looked after by different teams. These are in isolation, and they tend not to talk very well with each other. They tend not to give a unified view of what is happening. And that has given rise to something we call the data tax problem. So because the data is so fragmented and so siloed, more often than not, companies are paying multiple times to put the same data into different tools because they don't have an integration or they don't have a unification. And certainly from my experience, I've seen organizations get an observability solution, application performance monitoring, fantastic. But a lot of that data has a strong relevance in a SIM and a security world. So now the organization must put the same data into their SIM. 2 different vendors, 2 sets of licenses, hardware costs, etc., for the same data effectively. So what Elastic is doing and how we do this is we believe that data should be ingested once and used many times. So that is what I'm going to talk about today. And that is how I'm going to show how we do things differently. Because again, the way we understand this, if you could ingest all of that unstructured data and connect it to AI, for example, you could make something truly wonderful in terms of new applications, in terms of new ways of interacting with the data. So Elastic is that data platform. It is a single unified data store for literally any type of data that you could bring in, be it structured or unstructured, observability, security, infrastructure, no matter what it is, IT and OT as well. So over the years that I've been with Elastic, a lot of people have said to us, oh, well, Elastic is a SIM, or Elastic is an observability platform, where in actual reality, Elastic is a platform that has the capabilities of a SIM, that has the capabilities of an observability platform. So yes, we can ingest security data. We even have our own XDR. But because we are a data platform, we're also designed to work with other types of data. So in your organization, if you've invested the time and the money and the training on a certain XDR or EDR solution, Elastic is absolutely fine to ingest that data. We don't mandate you have to use our agent or our telemetry. Equally, from the two presentations that we've seen, we've got different ways of approaching security and reporting it. But yet we could unify those two, so you could see from Orca what's happening with my identity and access management, and then Sangfor, we could see if there was anything happening related under the hardware. You only get that in a unified data platform where we can simplify the ingestion, either through agents or agentless. We process it rapidly and at scale. We store it. We allow our users to search it, to visualize it, and we use machine learning and AI to make sense of it and to provide advanced analytics. And then, yes, we have agentic AI and workflows to help with root cause analysis and remediation. And the whole purpose of this is really to bring data in once and use it multiple times across multiple teams, multiple organizations. And Elastic can live where your data lives. So this is not a solution that gets deployed and has to stay there. We can be deployed fully on premises with absolutely no loss of functionality. We have been installed in air-gap environments 100% successfully. To us, self-managers, we will provide the software. The end user or the customer must use the hardware, must provide the hardware. So from a maintenance perspective, they're doing all the patching and updating, etc. We are just providing the software. Or you could go fully cloud hosted and protecting these hosts and clusters in the cloud. You could host on AWS, GCP, Azure. We don't mind. We also have a SaaS model called cloud serverless, where you pay for what you ingest and what you store. Now, the beauty of this is you can hybridize your approach as well. So if you have data regulations, if you have business units that need to keep their data specific and on premises, we can put an Elastic cluster there. We can also have a centralized cluster in the cloud, and we can do a one-way search into the on-premise data. So we keep it secure, we respect the privacy, and we ensure that our users never have to compromise on functionality because of their either regulations or frameworks. Don't know why this keeps popping up. Thank you. So moving forward, I just want to touch very quickly on why customers choose Elastic, sort of the top 3 reasons as to why Elastic is there. Firstly, it is our world-class data store. And, Elastic has been architected back in 2012 as a search platform. So we started in search. That's in our DNA. That is foundational to us. And what search is large volume data sets, relevant results quickly. So we're talking speed, scale, and relevance, which basically means I need to upload as much information as I can. I need to be able to search it rapidly, and the responses I get must be accurate. They must help me and inform my decisions. Isn't that exactly what we need to do in security? Isn't that absolutely what we need to do in observability? As we've seen from the vendors previously, and as you may know, firewalls, all these security tools generate a lot of information, be it structured or unstructured. So we need to be able to search through that information quickly and understand it. And more so when we look at cloud workloads, when we look at microservices, when we look at organizations that have embraced the cloud fully. Now we have to look at those containers. We need to provide vulnerability management. We need to unify that view and help them with that. Of course, as a lot of the industry knows, data storage can get expensive quickly. So suddenly keeping data online and searchable can be quite costly. Well, Elastic solves that problem by being able to, using a proprietary compression algorithm, store data more effectively. So we have a less of a storage requirement. We also have a data tiering system, which ensures that data is kept searchable and usable at a budget-friendly price. So we can store, well, it's configurable, but typically we would say up to a year in what we call our frozen tier. So that's a year's worth of data that you'll have to look at for trending, for trend analysis, for threat hunting, things like that. And then obviously we have optimizations for that as well, making sure that that data can be searched rapidly, it can be stored, and it can be parsed quickly, and that customers never have to make decisions on, is this data actually relevant, is it worth the license fees, etc. As I mentioned, it's our ability to bring data in, it's our ability to collect data from any source, which gives you that relevance. So when I spoke about structured and unstructured, this is what I mean. We could ingest data that is documents, operational logs, debug logs if you need them, crash dumps, communications data, and Elastic has been deployed across all verticals successfully. We typically see a lot of success in very high volume organizations, so financial services, telcos, things like that, and about 54% of the FTSE 100 use Elastic in some way, shape, or form. So the flexibility of being able to ingest data your way, have it centralized, and have it available for analysis becomes crucial. Is it moving? There. Finally, developers love us. As I mentioned, we have a free and open tier, so you have the freedom to start building a project, to get to understand this, to build a design in your head and then build on it. So 6 billion downloads of our software. We are the #1 vector database, search engine and vector database in the world. We have a very strong GitHub community, and we have, as I say, developers all over the world that use Elastic. And I mention this because this gives us exposure to many different data types, to many different use cases globally. So certain challenges that we have here in Africa that might not be experienced by the rest of the world, there's likely an Elastic use case for that. There's a way that someone has overcome that and used Elastic to do that. So if we look at it, we are a platform for innovation. We are able to unify that data, and we're able to provide you that one picture using the data multiple times across multiple use cases. The simplicity that we have with Elastic is also very appealing to our customers because we have a single license. We have an enterprise license that unlocks all this functionality and all this capability. So at no point as an Elastic customer will we come back to you and say, if you want to enable this use case or these rules or these workloads, it's going to cost you more. You have to unlock it via a license. We believe our customers should grow with Elastic. Elastic should grow with your organization. Elastic should fit with your organization. You should not have to make sacrifices or changes based on wanting to use Elastic. So we believe that we should be as open and flexible as possible. We should never be a closed data store. We should be able to share your data to other business units if they want. So from a scalability perspective, you can deploy as many agents, have as many users, ingest as much data as you want. Our enterprise license will take care of that and will give you that functionality. Do we have maybe 5 minutes of time where I could just switch to a demonstration and walk them through that? Somebody give me a thumbs up. Afiz, is that okay?
Yes, quickly you can do that.
I will be very quick. Thank you. Let me ask to share. Okay. So I have asked to share, and participants, I believe, can see my screen. What this means in practice for Elastic is I have the capability of search, which means I'm able to upload documents. So if I come and have a look, I can see that I have uploaded playbooks for incident response. There's about 12 of them, covering a variety of scenarios. These are just PDFs. They could be hosted on a document management system. It doesn't matter. They have been ingested and they make sense. And I can see the relevance and what they're needed. So what that means is, if I was to experience an outage, say, for example, in observability, what if a machine was utilizing high CPU? Firstly, my logs wouldn't tell me that. That relies on metrics. That relies on real-time telemetry and observation. There's no log that is going to say, this is what the CPU is, and keep going in real time. So in this example, we have a look, and we can see that our server here has sustained a 96%. It's over the threshold, it's over the SLO, and it's caused issues. Yes, we have all the alert data here. I can drill into this from an observability perspective. But what if there was more happening? Now remember, Elastic as a platform includes security use cases, includes observability rules and alerts. So everything is out of the box. The only thing that I've done custom is I have created an AI agent called Heimdall, who can see everything. And I've asked Heimdall, can you please go through and investigate this alert for any security risks? And because we have this data in the unified platform across hardware, cloud, it doesn't matter, Heimdall has run certain tools and has come back to say, actually, even though this is an observability alert, I've investigated this and I can see the process itself was falsified. It was masquerading. It's actually something malicious. It's also grabbed the DNS logs off of that endpoint because we had them, and it's compared them to a known mining infrastructure, crypto mining infrastructure. Equally, it can see outbound network connections. It would have triggered SIM alerts if we had turned this feature on, and it tells me this is a confirmed threat. It has then gone to the playbooks that I spoke about earlier and has actually recommended recovery actions based on each one of those playbooks, including you need to stay compliant with PCI DSS. You need to inform somebody within 4 hours. That took just over 2 minutes, 149 seconds, to do that level of investigation and find out what was wrong. Again, we could automate this. We could share this information out with relevant teams. And of course, because it's AI, we can ask it to make a checklist for us of what do I need across my playbooks, the ones that are relevant to this attack, what do I need to do? So if this is cloud workloads, if this is an infrastructure alert, it doesn't matter. Our common schema allows for this level of investigation and this level of automation as well. And then finally, we've obviously created this all as a security case that can be shared. We've given executive summaries, findings, etc., throughout this all. So I'm going to stop sharing. That was very quickly what Elastic could do and how Elastic as a unified data platform is able to help customers to get far more visibility, cost effective, and be able to unify there. I was hoping just to have the thank you slide up, but I think we've moved on. So thank you so much, everyone, for your time. I really appreciate it. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Roberto, for that wonderful session. And the whole idea of bringing 3 solution providers to this webinar is because there's no one size fits all for cybersecurity. For you to achieve your desired result when it comes to your cybersecurity posture, you need to be able to layer different solutions that have different strengths to help you achieve the overall structure. So for Sangfor, you're going to be able to, do attack preventions, help you with visibility, and also zero trust access. And then for Orca, it majorly is going to help you around your cloud security risk, help you with discovering different types of attacks you are open to, and also things around identities and attack pathways. For Elastic, this is more like your search AI for cybersecurity, and you're going to be able to unify all your data and combine security and observability into one powerful search tool. So we know that you cannot achieve the desired result with one solution, but if you are able to layer different solutions. So Sangfor for prevention and access, Orca for cloud risk, and also Elastic for your search AI. It is going to help you improve your overall cloud security posture and give you the desired results when it comes to your cybersecurity goals. So please, to the next slide, Tino. Yes, I think this is where we come to the Q&A. Thank you so much to the attendees for staying with us till this point. At this point, you can please start sending in your questions, and our presenters and speakers are going to do their best to answer them to the best of their abilities. So let me start with Roberto. For an organization that have invested heavily in, for example, a SIEM solution or a SOC solution, what added value are they going to get from Elastic? So is Elastic going to be a replacement for a SIEM or a SOC, or Elastic can offer them more visibility or even control when it comes to what they do with their data?
That's a great question. And as I mentioned, we don't have to be a disruptive and competitive technology. Yes, we can do SIM use cases and SIM functionality, but to turn around to an organization and say all the time and effort that you've invested in your SIM, throw it out the window, let's start again from Elastic. Even though we have rapid onboarding with AI, it's difficult. How we see Elastic as a data platform is rather, let's use advanced AI capabilities for attack detection, for monitoring, for that unstructured data ingestion, and we can combine that with your security tools. So all Elastic needs is the data. I don't care what firewalls, what EDR, what telemetry you send us, we need it. And from there, we could actually ingest into a third-party SIM. And we actually have customers doing that today. And it helps them to do the analytics to get more visibility, but also keep down SIM ingest costs. Because what they're sending to their SIM is now highly curated, high fidelity alerts or events, as opposed to having to send all of the data through. So, customers don't have to worry that this is going to be a big disruption in their organization. This would rather be an overlay or a data lake, as it were, that can provide those capabilities and those functionalities that security teams could use. And then, as I mentioned, machine learning and AI to give advanced analytics. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. I think we've also got another question for Faisal. For organizations with a mix of AWS, Azure, SaaS, and on-premise infrastructure, how does Orca give an IT team a single view of their actual cloud risk without creating another complex platform to manage?
Yeah, really good question. First and foremost, I think it goes without saying that we, as a software vendor, we're the only independent CNAP out there to provide cloud security for our customers. What this in essence means is our support for cloud vendors is vast. So we're cloud agnostic. It doesn't matter to us if our customers are sitting in Azure or AWS or GCP. We get visibility into all of these different cloud vendors. In addition to having the ability to monitor these individual cloud vendors, we also have the ability to be able to correlate this data that we're seeing. And I think during the presentation that I had, we're able to see how an account can lead to compromised access to sensitive data. But in addition to that, we can also see within the platform how a VM on GCP can be a threat to an account within AWS. And our platform with our unified data model helps connect all of these dots. So yes, absolutely, very crucial. We are cloud agnostic, meaning we support a variety of cloud vendors out there. And more importantly, all of this is done within this one single pane of glass that you were looking at earlier on today.
Right. Thank you so much, Faisal, for that answer. So the next question is going to go to Vignesh. So Vignesh, if you were advising a Nigerian organization that is moving to the cloud, but they have limited budget when it comes to securing that cloud instance. Where do you recommend they start from, and what security controls do you think they need to put in place for them to achieve significant results in a very short time?
That's a very fantastic question, right? So the good part of it is nowadays, you don't meter as the barrier. So that it on premise, be it on a private cloud or a hybrid cloud, or even on a complete public cloud. So it's all about how do you know where the data is, and how do you know, how to secure that data. So it's all about how do you get the data from. And Sangfor, of course, you do have certain integrations where we need to with these, data wherever it is. So we get this telemetry, and we do run certain AI engine for even detecting, for example, if it's a ransomware. Usually ransomware protection happens from detecting an anomaly. Anomaly is basically something different than normal, right? So, and it's not that easy to detect something different than normal, so you need the help of advanced tools like AI engine to even predict or detect something. It could be in any perimeter, be it cloud, on-prem, or be it a hybrid cloud kind of a work force. Anywhere we detect that, and we are able to successfully protect. As well as one more advantage is that Sangfor never claims that we can protect your data 100%, right? So definitely there are some or the other way where the attacker finds an entry. So we also are able to provide recovery functionality as well, where we call it as Sangfor ransomware recovery service. So which will also help in case there is a breach, in case there is an attack. So we will be able to provide that service to have it recovered from these kind of attacks as well. So these are the unique features and functionality that we bring into the market. So regardless of the perimeters to protect the data. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Vignesh. Very insightful. Can I just ask the floor if there's anyone who's interested in either Sangfor, Elastic, or getting more insights on Orca? If you could just put it in the chat, just mention, and the Routelink team will definitely reach out after this presentation, and maybe we can start conversations in line with the solutions that we have. I'll just quickly ask another question. I'll point this out to Roberto. Alert fatigue is a major challenge for lean security teams. How does Elastic use analytics or AI to distinguish genuine threats from noise and help security teams focus on the incidents that matter?
Okay, great question. So the way we do it in Elastic, as I mentioned, it's the data that we have allows us to correlate across multiple different things, not just security related, but also we utilize AI and the customer's choice of LLM, be it one of the widely available ones or their own on-premise one, to then analyze these in context. And because of the data that we have so much context to be able to say, it's not just about one thing. I can't remember which one of my panelists mentioned it, but these attacks are normally in chains. And we can detect those chains across multiple endpoints, technologies, log sources, or data sources, should I say, to then correlate them as a single, what we call attack or attack discovery. This can be scheduled, this can be run ad hoc, but what it does is allow for full visibility across it. And as I demonstrated, allows AI to really do a lot of the investigation prior to raising an alert or telling you that something has actually happened. And then equally, the other side of alert fatigue is obviously having to respond to these. We have workflows that allow for automation and SOAR capabilities. So when certain things happen, when it's been investigated, we can take automated actions to remediate, therefore freeing up time for the analyst and hopefully letting them focus more on actually hunting and finding the bad guys versus just closing down false positives. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Roberto, for that. So, Faisal, we know that in the cybersecurity space, one major challenge every organization faces is manpower. And that is why you hear things like, I want to move into cybersecurity because it is a high-paying field. So for an organization with very limited manpower, when it comes to cybersecurity resources, how much of the remediation process can Orca automate, and how does it help an IT team prioritize the vulnerabilities that pose the greatest real-world business risk?
Yeah, good question. So manpower is always a concern and an issue for many organizations, right? And it isn't just manpower, it's resources, it's funds. And to be smarter with all of these is very, very important. Our platform helps and support our customers with exactly issues like this. Our platform is designed to be able to consolidate 10 tools into this one offering with this one SKU licensing, right? So not only do you get visibility into your misconfiguration in your cloud environment, but where the data is, who has access to it, how can someone access it, how can you negate it? With our platform, there is no shadow IT, there is no shadow data, and now there is no shadow AI either. The ability to be able to help identify, prioritize, all works towards leveraging the tool in a smarter way. So when you don't have manpower, our platform is going to help also remediate the issues itself. And we do this in a variety of ways. We provide manual steps depending on what the misconfiguration is or what the vulnerability risk is. Or we can leverage the Orca AI to be able to help understand how we can leverage a Terraform template to help fix this. More recently, we've developed Orca AI agents to be able to take this a step further. So not only are we able to understand what the risk is, but how we can leverage AI agents to be able to help address and remediate the issues themselves. So within the platform, there's a variety of ways we can leverage the functionality that we're providing within the tool to help address things like manpower or multiple tools and tool consolidation, and actually help identify and prioritize the risks and the threats that we're seeing.
Right. Thank you so much, Faisal, for that wonderful question. Tino, do you want to ask?
One last question, maybe for Vignesh before we end.
Right.
There's one that says, beyond detecting threats, how does Sangfor help organizations prevent ransomware and minimize business disruption when an attack actually occurs?
Fantastic. Of course, ransomware has always been a major cybersecurity threat for over, multiple decades, right? So, evolving from known vulnerabilities to zero-day exploits, etc., etc. So there's always a need to understand these attacks, right? So definitely, so we do have different, cycles of protection. We call it as before the attack, during the attack, and after the attack, right? So what we really do before the attack is, of course, we do have a dedicated AI module for ransomware monitoring and prediction. It identifies and blocks even at the initial stage itself, where it identifies if there is, like I mentioned, if there's any anomalies or such thing that it can detect. Now, maybe during the attack, maybe sometimes it could not be detected. So what do we do during the attack? How do we really know? So of course, we do have certain mechanism where we put some bait files to identify that the bait file gets encrypted automatically. The Sangfor engine will know it, and then we kill that particular service. Right, so this another way to protect during the attack. At the worst case, even after an attack, we do have dynamic backup and one-click recovery mechanism where, since we have already detected an anomaly, we would have already taken a backup of that particular folder, or if it's running on a HCI, we'd have done a disk-based snapshot, right? So immediately we recover from those backup, or we recover from those disk-based snapshot. So these are the cycles of how we actually protect, detect, as well as kill, as well as provide the recovery from ransomware if the worst thing happens as well.
Yes, so I think that will be all when it comes to questions for today. You can send us your questions via email after this session, and we'll do well to share with the vendors and get back to you on them. Then from Yinka Kolawole, yes, we are going to share the slide with you. And also, please indicate in the chat box if you'd also want us to share the slide or the presentation with you after this session. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. It has been a wonderful 1 hour, 30 minutes, and we hope we've been able to, add value to you in terms of how these 3 solutions can help you improve your overall security posture. To my co-moderator, Tino, thank you very much for the great questions and also helping run this session. And also to Faisal, Vignesh, and Roberto, thank you for joining us as always to deliver value to our customers. And we hope that after this session, we are able to transition this session into opportunities and into engagement with some of the customers we have on this session. So our phone number is on the webinar, and also our email is on. So where's the phone number? Okay, so it is on the banner, and also our email is on the banner, and you can reach us for any request around cybersecurity. Either it is for Sangfor, for Elastic, for Orca, or any unique cybersecurity request you might have. Once again, from me, my name is Afiz Adeyemo, and it has been a pleasure co-moderating this session today. Tino, I don't know if you have any closing remarks.
Just to let the team know that we should be in West Africa the next couple of months, maybe a month from now. So we look forward to taking the conversation a bit further with the team. And yeah, we would love to have them attending that event.
Faisal, Vignesh, any closing remarks before we call it a day?
No, just a quick thank you from me. I really appreciate you guys spending time with me. Hopefully you've learned a little bit more about what Orca can do. And if you're interested, either reach out to Routelink, QBS, or there was a QR code for a form during my presentation. Please scan it and reach out to us. Thank you so much.
Right. Roberto?
Just want to thank everyone for their time and their attention. I really appreciate it, and look forward to hopefully chatting to you further. Thank you.
Right. And Vignesh?
Thank you, everybody, for joining this session. I think more than 100 people joined, so it was. I believe it was interesting to learn something new from each others as well. So thank you so much, Routelink and QBS team, for arranging such a wonderful session. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you. Also, a big thank you to the organizers that have put this event together. I can't mention names, but thank you guys for everything. We appreciate the support, and also we appreciate the fact that we are able to offer value to our customers and not just chasing them for pills. So once again, thank you so much, everyone, for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day, and also have a wonderful weekend. Goodbye.